Iran, officially known as the Islamic Republic of Iran, is a country located in the Middle East, bordered by Iraq, Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. It has a rich history dating back to ancient times, and it has been an important center of culture and civilization in the region. However, Iran has big significant political changes in recent years. Hello everyone, welcome back to Edge Capitalism. We analyze how power and value is created in the world. Today's video may blow your mind and what you understand about global politics and the role and history of Iran. Iran has changed dramatically in the last 40 years, particularly in the wake of the Iranian Revolution of 1979. The revolution, led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, resulted in the establishment of an Islamic republic and the implementation of strict Islamic laws. The regime's policies have led to an increasing isolation of the country, both regionally and internationally. Their hardline stance on issues such as the nuclear program, the US and Israel, and reinforced its radicalization. As a result, Iran has become a very different country from what it was before the revolution. There are 6 historical events that can explain the radicalization of Iran. Number 1. The Iranian Revolution. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 was a series of events that led to the overthrow of the monarchy in Iran and the establishment of an Islamic republic. The revolution was led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, a prominent Shiite cleric who had been exiled from Iran for his opposition to the monarchy. The roots of the revolution can be traced back to the 1950s and 1960s, when a growing sense of nationalism and disillusionment with the monarchy began to take hold in Iran. The monarchy, led by Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, had implemented a series of modernization policies that had brought about significant economic and social changes. In the 1970s, opposition to the monarchy grew stronger, with various political and religious groups calling for the overthrow of the Shah. Khomeini, who had been living in exile in Iraq and later in France, became a central figure in the opposition movement, and his speeches and writings were widely circulated in Iran. In 1978, a series of protests erupted in Iran, initially sparked by a newspaper article that criticized Khomeini. The protests quickly spread and became violent, increasingly with many Iranians calling for the Shia's overthrow and Khomeini's return to Iran. In January 1979, the Shah fled Iran, and Khomeini returned to a hero's welcome. A referendum was held in April of that year in which Iranians voted overwhelmingly to establish an Islamic republic. Khomeini was named the country's supreme leader, and a new constitution was adopted that established the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 was a significant event in the Middle East, as it marked the first time in modern history that a Muslim-majority country had established an Islamic republic. The revolution also had a profound impact on Iranian society, as it led to the implementation of strict Islamic laws and the suppression of political and cultural freedoms. It also had a significant impact on the region, as the new regime's anti-Western stance led to a break in diplomatic relations with many countries, especially with the United States. Number 2. The Iran-Iraq War. The Iran-Iraq War was a conflict that lasted from 1980 to 1988 and was fought between the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Republic of Iraq. The war began when Iraq invaded Iran on September 22, 1980, with the stated goal of annexing the oil-rich Iranian province of Khuzestan. The war was sparked by a long-standing border dispute between the two countries, as well as by Iraq's desire to expand its territory and gain control of Iran's oil resources. Iraq's leader Saddam Hussein had also been concerned about the rise of the Islamic Republic of Iran following the Iranian Revolution of 1979, and saw the war as an opportunity to weaken the new regime. The war also had an impact on the international community, with many countries providing support to one side or the other. The United States, for example, provided Iraq with the military and economic aid, while the Soviet Union provided Iran with arms and other support. The war ended in a stalemate, with a UN-brokered ceasefire agreement signed on August 20, 1988. Both sides suffered significant losses, with estimates of the number of deaths and injuries ranging from hundreds of thousands to over 1 million. The war also resulted in significant economic damage and left both countries with a large amounts of debt. The Iran-Iraq War reinforced the radicalization of the Iranian regime, as it resulted in a large number of casualties and displacement. It also solidified the regime's control over the country, as the regime was able to maintain its grip on power during and after the war. Number 3. The Rushdie Affair. The Rushdie Affair was a controversy that arose in 1989 following the publication of Salman Rushdie's novel, The Satanic Verses. The book, which was seen as critical of Islam and its prophet, resulted in a fatwa, religious edict of calling the author's death by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini the supreme leader of Iran. The novel, published in 1988, was met with mixed reviews, but it soon sparked controversy and condemnation from some Muslim communities, particularly in the UK and India, for its perceived blasphemy against Islam and its prophet. Ayatollah Khomeini, who was in exile at the time, issued a fatwa on February 14, 1989, calling for the death of the author, his publisher, and any other person involved in the production, distribution, and translation of the book. The fatwa led to widespread protests, with many Muslims calling for the book to be banned and for Rushdie to be punished. In some countries, such as India and Pakistan, the book was banned, and in some cases, violent protests and riots erupted. The fatwa also led to a break in diplomatic relations between Iran and several countries, including the United Kingdom. The British government withdrew its ambassador from Iran, and the Iranian ambassador to the UK was expelled. The fatwa also led to a decline in tourism to Iran and a decline in foreign investment in the country. The Rushdie Affair reinforced the radicalization of the Iranian regime, as it demonstrated the regime's willingness to use violent means to suppress perceived threats to its authority. It also showed the regime's hardline stance on religious issues and its lack of tolerance for dissenting opinions. It also showed the regime's disregard for international norms and laws. Number 4. The U.S. Embassy Takeover. The U.S. Embassy Takeover was an event that occurred on November 4, 1979, in which a group of Iranian students took over the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and held 52 American diplomats and citizens hostage for 444 days. The event was sparked by the admission of the deposed Shah of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, into the United States for medical treatment. The Iranian Revolution had occurred earlier in the year, and many Iranians saw the Shah's admission into the US as a sign that the US was trying to interfere in Iranian affairs. The takeover of the embassy was planned and coordinated by a group of Iranian students who were loyal to the new Islamic Republic of Iran and its leader, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. The students, who called themselves students following the line of the Imam, breached the embassy's perimeter, overpowered the guards, and took control of the building. The hostages were held for 444 days, with the US government and the international community making several attempts to secure their release. These efforts included diplomatic negotiations, a failed military rescue mission, and an arms for hostages deal. The embassy takeover had a significant impact on US-Iran relations, leading to a break in diplomatic relations and a deterioration of relations between the two countries. The event also had a significant impact on the American public, with the hostages' prolonged captivity becoming a major news story and a central issue in the 1980 presidential campaign. The U.S. Embassy takeover fortified the radicalization of the Iranian regime, as it demonstrated the regime's willingness to use violent means to achieve its goal and its disregard for international laws and norms. It also showed the regime's hostility towards the United States and its determination to confront the U.S. on the international stage, resulting in a break in diplomatic relations between the two countries to this day. Number 5. The Green Movement. The Green Movement was a series of protests that occurred in Iran in 2009 following the disputed presidential election of that year. The protests were sparked by allegations of widespread voter fraud and the disqualification of opposition candidates. The presidential election was held on June 12, 2009, and the incumbent president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, was declared the winner. However, the main opposition candidates, Mir Hossein Mousavi and Mahdi Karoubi, alleged the election had been rigged, and they called for a new election. The regime's response to the protests was violent, with security forces using tear gas, rubber bullets, and live ammunition to disperse the crowds. The regime also arrested and detained thousands of protesters and opposition figures, and it shut down independent media outlets. The Green Movement was significant in that it was one of the largest protests in Iran since the Iranian Revolution of 1979, and it brought issues of political reform and civil rights to the forefront of public discourse. The movement also highlighted the deep divisions within Iranian society and the regime's willingness to use force to maintain its grip on power. The Green Movement showed the regime's willingness to use force against its own citizens to maintain control and its lack of tolerance for political dissent. Number 6. The Nuclear Deal. The Nuclear Deal, also known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, was a political agreement reached in 2015 between Iran, the P5+1, the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, China, France, Russia, United Kingdom, United States plus Germany, and the European Union. The goal of the deal was to ensure that Iran's nuclear program would be exclusively peaceful, in exchange for the lifting of international sanctions on Iran. The negotiations for the deal began in 2013 with the P5+1 countries and Iran meeting several times to discuss the details of the agreement. The negotiations were led by the United States and Iran, and they were aimed at resolving concerns about Iran's nuclear program, which had been a source of contention between Iran and the international community for several years. The deal was reached on July 14, 2015, and it included several key provisions, including Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program, including reducing its number of centrifuges and its stockpile of enriched uranium. Iran agreed to submit to strict inspections by the International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) to ensure compliance with the deal. The P5+1 countries agreed to lift international sanctions on Iran in exchange for Iran's compliance with the deal. In 2018, the United States withdrew from the deal and reimposed sanctions on Iran, arguing that the deal was not strong enough to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. This move was met with condemnation from other parties to the deal, and it led to a significant deterioration in relations between the US and the European Union. All the events that were mentioned previously allowed the Islamic regime to radicalize their policies in the country. The regime's violent crackdown on protests, its disregard for civil rights and political freedoms, its defiance of the international community, and its willingness to use force to maintain its grip on power increased the regime's isolation. The regime's hardline stance on issues such as the nuclear program, the US and Israel also reinforced the division of Iran from the international community with a further consolidation of the regime's grip on power. That is it for today, everyone. See you all soon with more interesting information. Till then, see you.